Hi everyone, I'm Mike Mendenhall and I'd like to welcome you to this special Fiesta Days program. Spanish Fork has had a wonderful history that points back to pioneer settlers. They moved into a beautiful but untamed area. They worked hard to create something more for themselves but also for their families. This dedication and sacrifice made Spanish Fork what it is today. Principles of hard work, volunteerism, and family still drive our residents today. And it's these values that embody our Pioneer Spirit Award winner. And I'm here today to give that award and to announce it to such a great person. Let me introduce you to our Pioneer Spirit Award winner for Fiesta Days 2021, Steve Wilson. Steve?
Well, I'm deeply flattered and deeply touched. This is not something that I expected, and in fact, I didn't really know that there was such an award until I got a phone call, and I was very humbled. And you never go around expecting laurels or accolades, and so when I got that phone call, I was very touched. Very nice. Thank you, Mike.
Well, and that's the type of man you are, which is fitting for an award like this. You do a whole lot for our community and don't ask credit for it. And I remember that even as a youth in Spanish Fork. Your name has been on Spanish Fork for, I don't know, how many years were you the State Farm Insurance guy in town? That was
30 years.
30 years, and now your son Lance Wilson is in the same place on Main Street in Spanish Fork. So I always remember your name growing up, but I also remember, before I ask you about some of your memories of Fiesta Days and also your many years of service here in Spanish Fork, one of mine of you is I can't remember too many parades, if any, where you're not riding horseback with the American flag by your side at the first of the parade, leading out our parade. I know that is something that is near and dear to you. Service, and not just military service, but service is important to you and your whole family. And that's a service that I just want to let you know, as a kid and now an adult today, that still gives me chills every time seeing you and your family and some members of the service community there being first, leading out our parade. So.
Well, I can tell you that is something that was bred into me by my father. My dad, Shirley Wilson, rode a horse and carried a flag at the head of the Fiesta Days parade for 50 years. 50 years. It started out with the Diamond Fork Riding Club, and in the old days, or years past, the Diamond Fork Riding Club had that honor. And my dad rode with them. I have pictures of my dad that are black and whites of him riding a horse and carrying a flag with the riding club at the head of the parade. And when I got back from my military service, my dad was still riding, and I wanted to carry on that tradition. So this year will be my 27th year of leading that parade, and I will lead that parade. And I deem that a great honor. It has transitioned from the Diamond Fork Riding Club to the American Legion. The Spanish Fork American Legion post now does that. And when I first started, we had great guys like Ron Davis and Jack Christensen, and some folks in Spanish Fork will remember those names, but I remember them dearly, and I started riding, and I've been doing it ever since, and it makes me proud. None of our American Legion brethren or sisters have horses of their own, so Steve Wilson provides the horses, and he gets them cleaned up, and he procures the flags, and he gets everybody saddled up, and away we go. And we have some great men that ride with me, and I'm honored to be in their presence, and I'm honored to come down Main Street and have people stand and salute the flag and put their hand over their heart and whatnot. So yes,
Well,
it's a great tradition. I have to tell you another story, cute, Mike, before we move on to that. My dad wanted to ride as long as he could. Well, near the end of his life, he was in his mid-80s, and he said, "Steve, I want to ride one more time." This was with the American Legion. I was an Army vet during Vietnam. My dad was a World War II vet in the Navy. And so he was also a member of our American Legion post. So I said, "Dad, you can ride one more time." Well, to get him on the horse, it took 3 of us to lift him up onto the horse into the saddle. And when we finished the parade down on 9th North, Dad said, "I can't get off." And so Kent Jackson, Vern Mills, and I can't remember who else with it. But anyway, we said, look, I think it was Doug Erickson, who's now passed away. But we stood there on the side and said, "Dad, just fall off. Just fall off the horse, lean over, and the 4 of us will catch you." And so we stood down there by Cal Ranch. And my dad, 85 years old, he just leaned to his left and he fell right off that horse, and we were all there with our arms and caught him without him hitting the ground. And what a great story. What a great story. What a great end to a 50-year tradition of my dad riding in the parade. So, yeah, I don't think I'll ever make 50, but I'm going to keep going as long as the city will have me.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that there's a year where where Steve Wilson probably says, help me on, and then you're going to have to help me off, because that's how important that is to you. And it just speaks well to the award that you're very deserving of the pioneer spirit of ancestors that settled here and came here and did it for the promise of freedom and bearing the stars and stripes, and you still doing it today, and your family doing it before you. So thank you for that service. That's just a fraction of the service that you've done in the community. We spoke about it earlier, but as a young man in high school and trying to play basketball in the Don Dome there, and hearing your voice call all the games was something that I remember as a young man too. It was before I played, and during I played, and after I played. But it was so fun to have you there every night and making me feel better, because I was the 5-foot-something guy, and you always gave me a few inches to get me up to 6 foot like the rest of the team. So appreciate your service there. But I know serving on the Chamber of Commerce years ago with you, you mentioned the American Legion that you've served with forever. Tell everybody else some of the other service-based opportunities and that you've given to the city.
Wow.
I mean, we can't be here all night.
That would take us a while.
What have been some of your favorites?
Not that I would ever beat that drum, but yeah, some of my favorites. I can do that. You mentioned the basketball. I was the voice, I never named myself that, but others in town named me the voice of the Dons, because for 20 straight years, I announced football games at the football stadium. I did the announcing for the basketball for those 20 years and loved every minute of that. I announced the baseball. I did baseball too and loved that, and I did wrestling. And I
had a couple of boys that were okay at wrestling and football. I mean, they weren't state champions and over again at wrestling.
I had 2 sons that were multiple state champions, but in wrestling and all staters in football. And but if you were to ask me, in the bio that's in the Fiesta Days program, it lists some accomplishments which I appreciate very much, and I'm proud to have been able to offer. Some that were not listed that are probably maybe more important to me personally, and one was the announcing. I felt like I was giving back to my alma mater, Spanish Fork High School. I was a Don. I was a four-sport letterman in high school, and that meant a lot to me because it shaped my character. And it gave me direction. It gave me some discipline in my life, and I will be forever grateful to Spanish Fork City and Spanish Fork High School for giving me that advantage in my life, my future life, as I went on through these last several years of my life. But to have given back to the high school that I love, those 20 years of announcing ball games and highlighting young men. I did the prep of the week for as long as there was a prep of the week, for years and years and years. I wrote that, took the pictures, and to me that is a moment or an accomplishment that I'm very proud of and grateful to have done. Another give back that is very touching to me was since I've been in the American Legion, I have performed and been a part of more than 2,200 military rite ceremonies at grave sites for fallen veterans. 2,200, and it could be more. I don't know. I never count. I don't keep track, but that was my best guess. That's a lot of teary-eyed widows and sons and daughters surrounding a casket at the cemetery, looking into, as I give the closing remarks, looking into my eyes with tears down their cheeks and saying thank you. To me, that has been something that was very special, and I count that as one of the good things in life that I have done. You know, another thing that touched my heart as a would-be giver back to the community was several years ago I came up with this idea of bringing the Vietnam Wall to Spanish Fork. As a Vietnam-era vet, an Army 2 years, as an artillery lieutenant, forward observer, the Vietnam experience and war and that whole thing is highlighted in my heart by the Vietnam Wall, which I've been to 2 or 3 times in Washington, D.C. But they have a mobile replica of the Vietnam Wall. And so I went to the city and proselyted
found
them
some money, but raised
to let
some
me
money
bring that to Spanish Fork. And so they said, they gave me the go-ahead. Mayor Wayne Anderson was the mayor then, and he graciously said, yes, do that. And we did. And that was a very, 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 to me, a very special give back to the community, because we have a lot of veterans, whether they're Vietnam or at that time World War II, Korea, Desert Storm, the desert, a lot of tried and true veterans who otherwise may never have had that opportunity. We have had a Blue Star mother, Fern Lindley, whose son Marvin was killed in Vietnam and was a Spanish Fork resident, grew up in my ward. Marvin did. And his name is on that wall. Well, his dear, sweet, loving mother, Fern, had never seen the wall, never seen his name on the wall. And to have that wall in the Spanish Fork Cemetery, emblazoned across that north grassy area, and I conducted the ceremony and asked for Fern, whom I knew very well because I grew up in her ward. She taught me primary. Come up, and I honored her, and then Richard Davis and I took her arm in arm. Richard grew up in the same ward. We were all old 10th warders. Took Fern by one arm, I took her by the other, and walked her down to her son Marv's emblazoned name on that Vietnam Wall. And you talk about a heart tug, you talk about an emotional experience. I felt like I was on top of the world. And Fern just cried, and she reached up and she touched Marvin's name with her hand. And, I thought, this is good. This is what Spanish Fork is about. This is what giving back to the community is about. I've done something good. And that just thrilled me to be able to do that. And so those are a few of the things. There's accolades and different things that I've done, but I think of those three things as being really highlights in my life. But maybe the biggest highlight of my life is having raised 5 children in Spanish Fork and seeing all 5 of those kids, my wife Glenda Tanner Wilson and I, seeing all 5 of those kids do good things and become good people. And all 4 boys were Eagle Scouts. All 5 of my kids went on missions for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. All 5 of them graduated from BYU. All of them married good people and have had wonderful lives and raised great grandkids for us. So, that's maybe my biggest accomplishment. But that's, and whether that's giving back to the city or not, I don't know. But it's part of the pioneer experience, because I do have pioneer roots in Spanish Fork. Deep roots, right, that I could, if you want to talk about that. And so my kids now become part of that legacy. Yeah.
So when you are a youth and you're in Spanish Fork High School, and maybe the population of Spanish Fork is a few thousand people, maybe 5,000, 7,000 people, something like that.
5,000.
Today we're 44,000, quickly bumping up against 45,000. And when I talk about Fiesta Days and what that means to the Wilson family, why don't you tell some of our viewers that are new to Spanish Fork, that come from other places, other cities, maybe even other states, other countries, maybe, and this growing together tagline that we have on Fiesta Days here is to connect people to the Wilson family, of what your heritage is, what your history is. Tell them what some of maybe the favorite Wilson traditions are. During Fiesta Days. Obviously, it's spent in service, like your life always is, by starting the parade and everything else. But what else do you guys do that during Fiesta Days that you think these newer families could enjoy as well?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the parade. We have a first-class parade that we should be very proud of, and if folks want to enjoy a show quality parade, come down and jump onto Center Street and jump onto Main Street, wherever you want, and you will enjoy a great tradition. That parade is well respected all over the state, and so that's one thing that we always do. And we, over the last 30 some odd years, Spanish Fork has created a tradition of families coming to the city park and enjoying all of the activities. I mean, there's food, great food trucks everywhere. There's all kinds of activities for the kids that are going on. There's entertainment. My family have long loved to just get our lawn chairs in a semicircle or a full circle and sit and talk and visit and chum and have a little family reunion, get to know each other. And the fun thing about that is people come by that and they all want to talk and visit and chum. So those are some fun things. And of course the rodeo, to us, we do not miss the rodeo. If I'm not working in I'm also a member of the Kiwanis Club, and if I'm not working in the Kiwanis Club concession stand, I'm up in my son's his State Farm booth, loge or whatever you want to call it, watching the rodeo. My dad was the president of the Diamond Fork Riding Club and raised me in the riding club. I was just a kid, but I'd go all the practices, compete with them and do all kinds of things. And so I had that blood in me. And so when the rodeo came around, the riding club had a big part of that, more than they do now. And so that kind of ingrained in me the desire to have the rodeo be a part of Fiesta Days. And you know, the flag retirement ceremony, I had the privilege of speaking, being the keynote speaker at the flag retirement ceremony one year, and that touched my heart. You know, I thought, this is a great thing to see all these scouts bringing flags in and putting them over the hot coals and having them burn. And the patriotic atmosphere that exists in that is well worth it. I mean, look what Spanish Fork does. My goodness, they have fireworks, they have all kinds, have golf tournaments, they have all kinds of kids parades and just things going on. I mean, if you don't indulge yourself in and immerse yourself in the city's activities that they provide for us during Fiesta Days, you're missing out on a great opportunity. It's a family opportunity. It's a great chance to bond and see people that you know and make new friends and just, you know, feel of the great ambiance of Spanish Fork.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I can't think of a more deserving person for this award than a patriotic pioneer as yourself, with that heritage and what you do for the city in so many different roles. The only thing I'd add is simply on page 20, you'll see a little write-up on Steve Wilson for this Pioneer Spirit Award in your Fiesta Days magazine. I can tell you that is a small fraction of the service that this man has lent to his community, to people all over Spanish Fork, and so we thank you for it. We hope this small recognition means something to you and your family, because you've certainly meant a whole bunch to this community and to Spanish Fork.
Well, that's very kind of you, Mike, and trust me, I'm very touched and very grateful for whomever threw my name in that basket of names, and somebody probably just dumb luck pulled out my name.
I don't think so. If you see Steve around, you can see him at the park, you can see him at the rodeo, like you mentioned. You'll see him leading the parade. Yeah. Please wave and stand at attention, obviously, when our American flag comes by, but and he brings it. But make sure to say thanks as well to Steve. Spanish Fork is a better place because of people like you, and so thank you for your service. Thanks for indulging us in this little interview to get to know a little bit more about you.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thanks Spanish Fork City for being a great place for me to grow up and live and raise a family. Thank you.
Thanks.